Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another requested video. People, first off, my best friend also told me that this cartoon was out, and I needed to check it out. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I've also had several people tell me that this new Mickey cartoon was out as well, and to check it out, which is, I already know I'm recording, which is Three-Legged Race. And I think this is so far the last Mickey cartoon to come out, so again, let's go ahead and start. I really like the title card, how it's done in the checkered flag pattern. Is cool. So starting off the video, also my best friend said this was another cartoon about Mickey and Minnie, or there was some Mickey and Minnie cuteness in it, so yeah, I'm there. Start the video in 3, 2, 1, click. Oh my gosh, that's like Mickey's Toontown house. Horace and Clarabelle, oh my gosh. Oh boy. That's my reaction whenever I read some fan fictions.
And we always lose. That's why this year I'm running with Daisy.
But she's a cheater.
Oh my!
I know, Mickey.
Daisy's the new Wolverine.
Last, and you're a loser.
Fine, be a cheater. I'm going to win this race fair and square. First, I have to find
cute.
a partner.
I'll run that race with you.
Pegleg Pete, but you're the biggest cheater of them all.
I wouldn't dream of cheating.
Hot dog! I knew they were wrong about you, Pete. The police, sheriff, the FBI,
On the marks, get set,
the district attorney's office, Fish and Wildlife Service,
go!
Mounties.
I love how determined Minnie is.
Oh, my friend.
Who? Oh my gosh, that robot! Okay. You doing Louie? Is nobody playing for? You gotta blow out.
That's not right.
Scrooge and Donald. Okay. Oh crap. That robot. Okay, oh my gosh, so much stuff to talk about with this cartoon.
Well, Pete, looks like the cheaters are gonna win again.
That's right, because we're gonna cheat.
What?
What are you, Goofy's dad? Soda.
Oh, wait.
Punch!
Oh gosh! Oh gosh!
Hi, ladies.
Oh no!
Bye, ladies.
Oh shoot.
Who said cheaters never prosper?
Mickey's gonna snap.
Ready to win, Squeaky?
Ah! Goofy!
This is not a sack race, sir. It is a three-legged race. Disqualified. Oh,
What the?
Is there no one honorable enough to win this trophy fair and square?
There is.
I love Mickey's determination. They just like I love the visual aesthetics for this.
I did it! I won fair and square!
Oh my gosh. Okay, so much. Let's see. Okay, I gotta go back and check these. Because Scrooge talked in this. Was it David Tennant? I don't believe it was. Let's see. Scrooge. Okay, so David Tennant didn't voice Scrooge in this. Okay, I love this cartoon. I love this cartoon. And there's a lot going on in this cartoon. There is a lot going on in this cartoon. Now, I really like the story. Like, it's a simple setup with Mickey wanting to participate in a three-legged race, and it's really cute. You know, Mickey's wanting to participate in a three-legged race with his best gal, Minnie, and he's looking forward to it. But Minnie ends up teaming up with Daisy, and for once, and as it turns out, everybody here cheats, including Minnie, and it's kind of interesting. Like, everybody here was going to cheat in some way. And so it kind of makes me think, you know, Mickey was the only honorable one. Mickey was the only one who wanted to win in a noble, normal way without resorting to dirty tricks. And that's totally Mickey. That is totally Mickey. And the interesting thing, you know, you could probably think, because so many people here was willing to cheat, you could probably imagine that it's kind of a tradition for this three-legged race. Like, everybody cheats in some way. This is the cheater's three-legged race, you know, because, like, everybody's doing it. So you think, well, okay, it's a common thing for this race. And Mickey had to see everybody else, including his best gal, get foiled by Pete's. I mean, he had to see everybody cheating, and he had to see his best gal get spun away by Pete. And the cool thing here, again, nobody won. Goofy thought he won, but he didn't. And Mickey was willing to go the extra mile. Mickey was willing to go the extra mile here, and Mickey was willing to go the extra mile and go through heck and back to win in the noble way. And one could probably say that this is kind of like that old saying, cheaters never prosper, cheaters never win. Mickey won in the noble way. It took longer, but he won in the noble way. And this kind of makes me think about the tortoise and the hare tale, because how long it took Mickey to actually win. This kind of makes me think about that. Like, the tortoise wanted to take the race nice and slow. The hare cheated to win. Actually, no, the tortoise won. I'm sorry. The tortoise won because the hare had become so self-absorbed, so arrogant, that he ended up losing. And one could say, with this case here, Slow and Steady won the race. Mickey actually won. And so I think this is a really good metaphor for that. It's a really good, it's indeed a really good reference for that. And again, and for me, this is a typical Disney cartoon, you know, with the setup with Mickey being the really good guy. And again, I think, and there's some really cute things here to go over. There's a lot of things to go over here. Now, first off, I love this little intro with Mickey waking up here. I mean, this is just cute. And I love the design. Why is my mouse jumping around? It's Minnie. She's excited. Okay. Okay. I really love the design for Mickey's room here. It's really nice. It's a really nice setup, like with the hardwood floor and the angle right here. You can even see the little the plug-in outlet right here, which is really cool. And the unique thing about this is Mickey's home. Mickey's house here looks like his typical house. This looks like his Toontown house. You know, the yellow house. He's got the garage over here on the side. He's got the little doghouse outside for Pluto. This looks like Mickey's common house in the traditional Disney media that we've seen in Toontown, and things like Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, even in the House of Mouse and Mouseworks cartoons. This looks like Mickey's house right here, and I really like this design right here that they I really like the design that they went with this. It looks really good, and but again, I really love that they went with Mickey's Toontown design for his house. I really love that. And I just now noticed Mickey walked off and left his dang door open. Good job, Mick. Pardon me. Good job. This was really cool because we got to see Horace and Clarabelle. Now, we got to see Clarabelle before, but I don't recall. I could be wrong, but I don't recall seeing Horace in one of these cartoons. But this takes me back to the older Disney cartoons, the older black and white Disney cartoons, where the characters, where Horace and Clarabelle was a rather prominent feature or fixture in some of the older Disney cartoons. and you saw those two a lot together in the cartoons whenever the gang would be hanging out together. It makes me think of, I think it was the Barn Dance cartoon, I think it was, where Mickey was getting everybody together and they went to this huge barn out in the country and they just had this big dance off, and the police ends up showing up at the end, and they raid the joint, and then the police end up dancing, and then it shows Mickey and Minnie each with a police hat on dancing on a table. And and so this takes me back, and this is a really good homage to the old classic Disney cartoons. But it has a modern flair because, you know, the modern animation, you got Scrooge here over on the right also participating. And so it's really interesting to see this going on. You know, Mickey's helping Horace and Clarabelle work together. You see Goofy over here stretching, and you see Scrooge jogging in place, and Donald, what was he doing? Playing I'm a Little Teapot? Okay. And again, this setup here with Minnie and Daisy is cute. It makes me think about the Minnie and Daisy comics, where Minnie and Daisy are hanging out together, and I also think it's cute that Minnie and Daisy are, you know, that Mickey and Minnie normally run the race together, and basically Minnie, like they always lost the race, so Minnie decided, this year I'm going to run the race with Daisy. You know, this year I'm going to run the race with Daisy because we always lose. And again, this kind of makes you think about the other things where we've seen with Minnie and Daisy hanging out together, which is very cute. But again, it would have been cute to have seen Mickey and Minnie race together in this comic, but again, this comic was still adorable. But it was cute how Mickey was just like, oh my, like, we always run this race together, and he was just kind of like in a panic, like I lost my best girl here to this. And what I said before about Mickey's reaction to Minnie and Daisy, that's kind of my general reaction whenever with some of the Disney fan fiction that I've read. I've read some Disney fan fiction before that has paired Minnie with Daisy and Mickey with Daisy and Minnie with Mortimer, and Mickey's hyperventilating reaction, that's generally my reaction whenever I read a story that does not put Mickey and Minnie together. That's usually my reaction all the time. Then Minnie makes a mention about they always lose, so she decides I'm going to run the race this year with Daisy, and there's a chance we can actually win. And again, I really like the squash and stretch animation. How whenever Minnie and Daisy hug here, how like their bodies just, it's kind of like a balloon that has just a little bit of air in it, and how you can flatten it out, and it's very, very cute. And Mickey makes a mention about Daisy being a cheater, so like basically watch out. And then Daisy is here with her boots, and she's just, and it's really interesting here. Like, I like this shot of her, just this sly expression, like, what are you talking about? And then this big, like, foot-long spike comes out of her boot. I'm guessing that's how she keeps Donald in line. Like, she usually always wears these boots anyway. This is probably how she keeps him in line. Like, Donald has seen these before, near his tail feathers. And she knows how to keep him in line. He knows if he crosses her, she will kick him with these right here. She will impale him. And it was interesting here, this dynamic, this little setup here, how Minnie did kind of feel bad. Like, she felt bad not participating with Mickey. And she felt like she could tell that he was kind of hurt. He was kind of hurt by it. Like they always did this together. And she said, "Nice guys finish last." And she tried to tell him he was a nice guy. And then here's Daisy, just blunt, and says, "Yo, dude, you're a loser." And I was kind of like mentally thinking that Minnie was probably going to maul Daisy for that one. And so this adorable little scene where Mickey has these supposedly like angel wings, and he says he will finish the race basically nobly, but it was just a bird. It was just a bird. And so Mickey wonders who he can actually get, and Pete. Peg Leg Pete. And Mickey actually calls him Peg Leg Pete. And again, it's a nice callback and, you know, continuity deal to the older Disney comics where Pete was called Peg Leg Pete. He wasn't just called Pete. He was always just called Peg Leg Pete. And again, I really love the animation, how the animation is overly exaggerative and how it's done. And again, Mickey's just adorably naive whenever he makes this mention about I knew they were wrong about you, Pete. You know, as much as Mickey has dealt with Pete in the comics, you know, this is interesting. Like, he's dealt with Pete so many times. You think, you know, Pete was naturally a bad guy. And there's a huge height difference. Like, here, Pete is just so much larger. Like, in the Disney comics and such, Pete is not this large. But here, Mickey's basically small enough to fit in the palm of Pete's hand. And so Pete straps Mickey to his peg leg with duct tape. And the race is about to start, and I was wondering here if we were going to see Oswald in this. But as it turns out, and there was so many there's so many different setups here. Again, I love how determined that Minnie is right here. I really love that look for her, and it was also interesting seeing Scrooge and Donald working together, and Hugh and Louie are all. I just now noticed that Hugh and Louie are participating, but they're each holding the other's leg so that they don't touch the ground. So it's still a 3-legged race instead of a 6. And then we see an interesting setup here with Von Drake and this robot. And that's really cool because this robot was a continuity deal. And it was cool seeing this robot again because this robot was first introduced. This was the Martian robot that was first introduced in Disney's cartoon Mars and Beyond. Okay, it was first featured in Disney's Mars and Beyond, released December 4th, 1957. 1957. And the robot was first introduced back then in 1957. And an interesting design, I can already tell. The shoes and everything, are very similar. But a difference is the eyes on the original robot's design were actually yellow with red pupils. And in this particular cartoon, they are red with yellow pupils. So they did change that right there but that's cool, you know, that's totally fine. But the robot was actually used again in the Mickey's Mechanical House cartoon, which was featured in Mickey's House of Villains, which was released September 3rd, 2002. And so, yeah, a very interesting continuity with that, bringing back this robot. And I can honestly see, and, you know, it's tied to Professor Von Drake, so I can honestly see that being something like Professor Von Drake created this thing. I can easily see that. And we see Goofy in a sack, and Pete and Mickey. Now, here we also see a different height ratio with Mickey and Pete. And, again, this interesting setup here with all the characters, and this moment where, oh boy, I can only imagine what some people are going to say in regard to this. I just now noticed something interesting about this. We have Horace, and he's a horse, of course. And I just now noticed on the bottom of his shoes, the horseshoes on the bottom of his shoes, that's an interesting design. And Horace essentially basically uses Clarabelle in the same way that Pinky used Twilight during the Changeling invasion in Canterlot as a Gatling gun. That's cool. That's very, very unique. And it manages to, like, get Pete, surprisingly. And then Hugh and Louie are still hopping along, literally, behind. And they throw Jax. They throw Jax in front of Clarabelle and Horace. and they get a blowout, which is funny. Like, oh my, like that's just hilarious. They get a freaking blowout, and Scrooge, they see the cash, and everybody stops whenever they see the cash, and they're like, "Hot dog, free money." And, but then again, you know, to be honest, I'm not going to fault any of these characters here for this, because they would do the same. Because, you know, if you saw somebody give out free money like that, yeah, you'd run to it too. Screw finishing the race. And then Scrooge and Donald at that point realize, oh crap, we just threw away the money. And it's funny because, you know, Donald, I can't say Donald is as much a cheapskate as Scrooge is, but it's funny that Donald was like, oh my gosh, this, you know, my uncle just threw away some money. I need to grab as much as I can. And they end up getting mauled over by Pete in this hilarious comic style. They get literally flattened by Pete, who just, oh no, I'm sorry, by this giant robot who just mows them over. And then Minnie and Daisy, and it's interesting here, like, I have to point out something. And this is something interesting that I have to point out. Minnie and Daisy are, obviously, they're going, I mean, and if you pay attention, Daisy is stuffing the money down into her shirt because she's wearing a shirt. Minnie is not wearing a shirt. Now, thinking back to the other Disney cartoon, Oh Day Minnie, where Minnie puts on a black shirt, obviously she's not wearing that here. And so she has nothing to stuff the money down into. Okay, well, she does have, you know, okay, she does have something. She does have, you know, her skirt or her underwear, but obviously she can't do that. But it's like, it's interesting that Daisy is wearing a shirt, so she manages to stuff it in there. Minnie's not wearing something like that she can stuff the money into. And she uses her hat, the little flower on her hat, as a propeller. Minnie has become Gadget. Go-Go Gadget. Go-Go Minnie helicopter. And it's interesting here that Minnie and I really like how Minnie and Daisy were working together. And Daisy uses her boot. This is essentially like a spy-based thing. Like, okay, I want to see a comic or a fan fiction where, like, Minnie and Daisy could be spies. Instead of, like, the Bond girls, it's just, you know, working with Bond, you got, or, like, Mickey could kind of be like James Bond, except here's the Bond girls, and they got their own gadgets. They also work for MI6. Or, which, okay, that could be funny. MI6, instead of MI6, it could be MI28 for Mickey 28, you know, 1928. They could do, I think about it, I could look at this myself as, like, Minnie is also getting revenge on Professor Drake for that other Mickey cartoon, the House of Mouse cartoon, where Mickey uses one of Von Drake's gadgets to look into the future, and he sees Minnie, like, with a towel wrapped around her, and as they're talking, suddenly this curvy, feminine robot mouse droid rolls up, and Minnie uses a teleporter to teleport to that room where she literally rips the thing apart. Minnie could be getting revenge for that. That's my headcanon here. Minnie's getting revenge on Von Drake for that. Like, this is for creating, like, this is for trying to replace me in Mickey's life with an android. And so everybody's, looks like just about everybody's going to finish the race, and Pete is like, nope, I'm going to cheat too. And so we see this guy, and I don't know who this is supposed to be. This looks like Goofy, but I'm not thinking it is Goofy. But I like his shirt. I like his shirt. I want that shirt. And so Pete hops into a barbecue where they grab chips and soda. Like, it doesn't show him shaking it up, but you can imagine that it probably is. and the soda gushes and used like a rocket propelled. And I love this bit that Pete does with Goofy. Just literally knocks Goofy into a wastebasket, into a sign, which dumps him into a garbage can. That is hilarious. And then he plays jump rope with Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And then this moment whenever and then we see Minnie and Daisy again. And again, continuing with that continuity, Daisy has the money stuffed down into her shirt because she's wearing a shirt. Minnie cannot exactly be seen. Minnie cannot exactly stuff the money down into her underwear. So she's just holding on to the money because she's not wearing a shirt. She's not wearing something to put... okay, she could put it under her hat. But, she just held it. And so it's an interesting thing there. And so it's interesting whenever Pete grabs the girls, at this point, that's whenever Mickey reacts. Like, that's whenever Mickey reacts, like, oh crap, that's my girl. And this is actually really cute with Minnie. Here, this animation with her, this adorable little animation with her. Or just how she's just standing there. And then this little expression whenever she moves her head up. It's really adorable. And then Pete begins, he grabs hold of the flower and Minnie begins spinning around like a top. And Minnie just disappears off the screen. And then Daisy, I knew immediately as soon as he grabbed her, it was going to have something to do with those spikes. I knew it was going to have something to do with that. And he just throws her, and she just sticks into a tree. And grabs a tree. And manages to cause Pete and him to go flying all the way back to the beginning of the track, to the starting line. And Pete takes the blunt force of it. Mickey's just kind of attached. And Goofy wins. The judge reveals that Goofy's in a sack, and he can't finish the race. And I was not expecting the 3-leg deal with Goofy. I was not expecting that. But you could probably surmise that that's how Goofy is a bit of a bad dancer. Okay, somewhat. It makes me think about the older Goofy cartoon from the 40s, where Goofy used like a mannequin to learn how to dance. And it takes me back to that. And, that was back in the 40s or 50s. Whenever that happened, Goofy couldn't dance then. But then, however, in an extremely Goofy movie in 2000? Goofy could really dance. Whenever he was dancing with Sylvia at that party there at that dance club, Goofy could dance. He could dance there. And so, I don't know, I guess he's out of practice. And so he's got his 3 legs. Only, if you can't dance, they say you got 2 left feet. Goofy's got 3. So, and then we see the carnage here. We see the carnage, just everything. Horace and Clarabelle still with a blowout. Daisy's just hanging around. Scrooge and Donald are still flattened. Possibly dead. Von Drake is just blown up. And Pete's all the way back with a pump knot that looks like an ice cream cone. And Minnie's nowhere to be found at this point. Minnie's nowhere to be found. And Mickey... Okay, Pete's just, out of it. Pete's just... Pete's just out of it. Possibly, completely unconscious. And so Mickey begins to drag himself and Pete across this. And this is really cool because Minnie is standing there watching as Mickey begins to drag Pete and himself, across the grounds here all the way to the finish line. And it's interesting because you see this, and Minnie is standing there watching her boyfriend or husband, however you want to look at it, and she's just standing there, and she just smiles excitedly because she's cheering him on. You know, Daisy's hanging there, and honestly, it kind of would have been funny. Like I can kind of imagine Minnie turning around and looking at Daisy and saying something like "Ha! In your face!" Like Mickey is not a loser, and like Minnie's just standing there excitedly, watching Mickey as he tries to drag Pete, all what 300 pounds of him, across this. And then again, like I said, the visual aesthetics for this background is really nice. You've got the different colored. I love how the sky is painted. I just love the visual textures here with this background. It's absolutely lovely. And I love the scene transition whenever it transitions to nighttime. I love this nighttime appearance here. It's really beautifully done. It is a bit bright color to be nighttime, but then again, you know, they couldn't make it extremely dark because otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything. But again, I love this nighttime look. And it, well, okay, it does get a little bit darker. And again, Mickey's still trying to drag Pete all the way from the finish line. And again, I love how it looks here at nighttime. And this kind of makes me think about that cartoon, that Disney cartoon, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Only this cartoon didn't have Goofy in it botching everything up. And it's interesting. We get to see the characters. We see Professor Von Drake. We see Huey and Lisa standing there watching Scrooge and Donald are still completely pancakes. And then, okay, a bit of a continuity error here. Bit of a continuity error because after transitions, it shows Professor Von Drake still in the background, turned into like burned, and Scrooge and Donald still lying on the ground. And then the walrus judge here just like, you know what, screw it, I'm done, I'm gone. And again, as it transitions to fall, I love this design. I love how they did this, and it's really natural. And again, I love it like everybody's gone. Everybody just gave up and left. Pete's still possibly at this point probably dead. You know, blunt force trauma to the head. He's just still unconscious, probably dead by this point. Mickey's still dragging a corpse around. Minnie is still, and I love again how Minnie is still there. She's still cheering her boyfriend on, and she's just waiting for him. And I love the visual aesthetics here, the fall design, and you got like the apples right here on the trees, and you got the dim cloudy, which is typical for winter. And you see the beautiful designs, textures for the close-up snowflakes right here. And again, just with these three snowflakes, they say no two snowflakes are alike. I mean, just look at the texture for all four of these snowflakes right here on screen. They're all different. All four of these snowflakes are different, and I love it. And I'm really hoping that there is no snowflakes that are the same. Okay, unfortunately, I do see two snowflakes here which are the same. The one on the left and the one on the right, far right here, are the same, unfortunately. But, you know, coming up with an idea for several different snowflake designs is kind of a challenge. So, well, it would be for me. So, yeah, I'm certainly not going to hold them to that. But again, you know, they didn't use a copy and paste. Let's use the same snowflake. No, they had different designs for the majority of them. So that's cool. And then we see spring, beautiful spring again. We see the light colored grass, and again, Mickey. Let me get this bird out of the shot. Crap it! I was trying to get the bird out of the shot. Didn't exactly work. Oh well, I'm just gonna have to have him in there. Sorry. But again, Mickey's still dragging Pete along. We see this beautiful springtime thing. We see the flowers in the trees right here, the birds and the bees, and sorry, and. I love this beautiful scenery, and then we transition to summer again, which is back where we were. Okay, so it wasn't in fall, it was in summer. But again, and the scene transitions again to, and again, the face right here on this sun makes me think of It's a Small World. I don't know why, it just does. And again, the scene transitions again to continue to show all this And then Mickey drags himself and Pete across the finish line, like however many years later. And poor Mick has grayed and everything, and we see Minnie still standing there behind Mickey, cheering him on, trying to get the shot. Like poor Minnie, like she waited there for her boyfriend or husband all that time. She stood there waiting, and now both have turned old and gray. And Mickey did win, and Minnie's still standing there supporting him and cheering him on. And then Mickey just collapses out of exhaustion or possibly old age. Not exactly something you want to think about. But again, I really loved it. It was a really interesting thing here. And I especially loved how that Minnie was portrayed to be waiting there for Mickey, cheering him on, supporting him basically. Well, okay, she wasn't physically cheering him on, but like it was showing her standing there waiting for him excitedly for him to cross the finish line and actually win. And I loved how, that it was cute, it was sweet, it was really, really adorable. Oh, sorry, it was really, really adorable, and I loved it. And again, this is a typical Disney cartoon because again, Mickey is the good guy. Mickey is the good guy. He wants to see good in people, but there's bad in people, and so he wanted to play fair and square, but everybody else had different intentions. And so again, kind of makes me think, with Minnie not exactly playing fair, kind of makes me think, what would happen if she and Minnie had lots of little friendly one-on-one competitions. I can kind of imagine that. And but I'll leave that up to the the old Mars and Beyond cartoon. I think the Barn Dance cartoon, man, so much. And it was so cool to see. It was so cool to see, and I absolutely loved it. So again, Disney, thank you so much for cranking out this cartoon. Thank you so much to everybody at Disney. Thank you so much for these cartoons. They are brilliant. They are bloody brilliant. And thank you to everybody that worked on this cartoon. Thank you all so much for the visual references, the gags, and just the beautiful visual aesthetics, the wonderful animation, the fun zaniness that these cartoons feature. The visual gags and references, things like that. Thank you all so much. Thank you to everybody that works on these cartoons. Thank you so much to everybody that worked on this cartoon. This is a brilliant cartoon. It's fun. It's adorable. It's hilarious. I love it. So thank you all so much. And also thank you to my best friend as well for sending me the link to this cartoon, and also egging me on to check it out. Thank you again. I really, really appreciate it. You are the best. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed. And also to everybody else, thank you as well. To everybody else that kept telling me, almost with a bullhorn shouting at me, watch this cartoon, watch this cartoon. Thank you all again. Hope you enjoyed. And again, thank you guys again for joining me. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.